When I moved into apartment 8B, the building manager mentioned something strange. "If you ever hear footsteps above you at night," he paused, "don't report them." I laughed, thinking he was joking. He wasn't. "It's an old building," he said. "You'll understand." For almost a month, everything was normal. Then, one night, at exactly 1:43 a.m., I heard someone walking overhead, not creaking pipes, not the building settling. Footsteps, slow, measured, as if someone was walking laps around the apartment directly above mine. The same thing happened the next night, and the night after that, always at exactly 1:43, always lasting about 6 minutes. After a week, I asked the woman who lived across the hall. "Oh," she said casually, "you've started hearing them." "Started?" She nodded. "Everyone in 8B does." "Who lives upstairs?" She looked at me strangely. "Nobody." I assumed she meant the apartment was vacant. That weekend, I went upstairs. Apartment 9B looked abandoned. No doormat, no nameplate. Dust around the edges of the door. I knocked anyway. Nothing. As I turned to leave, I heard footsteps. Inside. I froze. They crossed the apartment from left to right, then stopped directly behind the front door. No handle moved. No shadow appeared beneath it. After nearly a minute, the footsteps slowly walked away. I mentioned it to the building manager. He didn't seem surprised. Instead, he unlocked a filing cabinet and pulled out a folder. Inside were dozens of complaint forms, different handwriting, different years. Everyone described the same thing. Footsteps, apartment 9B, 1:43 a.m. Some reports were over 20 years old. "Why doesn't anyone investigate?" I asked. He sighed. "We did." He slid a photograph across the desk. It showed apartment 9B completely empty. The timestamp read 2008. "We've opened that apartment more than 30 times. There's never anyone inside." I stared at the photo. "So where do the footsteps come from?" "If I knew," he said, "I wouldn't still work here." That answer bothered me more than anything else. Weeks passed. The footsteps never changed. 6 minutes, every night, exactly 1:43. Eventually, I stopped noticing them, until one evening, the power went out. The emergency lights came on. Everything was silent. Then, 1:43. The footsteps started again. Only this time, they weren't above me. They were in the hallway. I opened my apartment door. The corridor was empty. The footsteps continued, passing directly in front of me. I could hear every step. Old wooden floorboards creaked beneath invisible weight. 1, 2, 3. The sound reached apartment 9B, then stopped. I didn't sleep that night. The following morning, I checked the hallway security camera. The timestamp read 1:43 a.m. The corridor was empty, but something caught my attention. The motion sensor light outside 9B switched on, stayed lit for 6 minutes, then turned off, exactly as if someone had been standing there. I moved out a month later. A year passed before I thought about that building again. Then I received an email from the new tenant living in 8B. It contained one sentence. "Did the footsteps ever bother you?" I replied with one word. "Yes." A few minutes later, another email arrived. "Good. I was worried I was the first person hearing them." I never answered. Instead, I searched the building's planning records online. Buried in a scanned document from 1974 was the original blueprint. Apartment 9B wasn't missing. It wasn't sealed. It wasn't hidden. It had never existed. The 9th floor only had 11 apartments. There had never been a 12th one marked 9B. Yet every tenant who lived beneath it could tell you exactly where it was.